Hello Cinnamon Bun. What if I told you there was this magic trick that you can learn to take any broken story and fix it? It's time for another Plot With Me video, the series where I get my hands dirty fixing up stories from pop culture. Can I be honest with you guys for a second? Shooting these videos is a little bit terrifying every single time that I do it. I've helped so many people with their stories at this point, but I'm still like, what if I can't do it this time? What if I get stuck? What if I wake up to 100 comments saying, you didn't actually fix it, this is rubbish? What if there really isn't a good story buried in there? Every time I do one of these videos, I feel like I am stepping onto the high wire. People have called what I do in these videos a superpower or a magic trick, but if all I wanted to do was impress you, then I wouldn't show you the process, I would just show you the end result, the improved story. I don't step onto this wire and perform this trick just to flex, although my ego does love that bit too. The reason that I set up my camera and show you the mechanics behind the magic is to show you how to do it yourself. It's not easy, but it's doable. Now, fair warning, if you are totally new to the plot embryo method, you're going to want to grasp the basics before getting into the rest of this video. Luckily, you can get caught up on that in exactly 14 minutes by checking out my quick start plot embryo video in the description below. Team Rocket have got to be some of the worst antagonists in all of fiction. They pop up and try and steal Pikachu, but they're really more of like a single episode annoyance for Ash and the gang than a real antagonist. And yet, they show up in every damn episode and movie and piece of Pokemon media just to blast off again.
We're blasting off again!
Who is this fan service for? Who do Nintendo expect to come beating down their door yelling, Team Rocket didn't meaninglessly blast off in this piece of Pokemon media and justice must be served? Deep breaths. In each Plot With Me video, I try to address a different aspect or perspective or nuance of the plot embryo. So in Transformers, it was about changing the protagonist of a story. In my Brave videos, it was about weaving two plot embryos together to kind of tell a larger story about that relationship. This video is about creating a compelling, tragic plot embryo for an antagonist, because I cannot think of a less compelling antagonist than Team Rocket. Let's head to my desk. So, we're doing a Team Rocket plot embryo today. I have chosen to do it for Jessie, to make her the protagonist or the antagonist, because she is generally the leader of Team Rocket in terms of her, James and Meowth in any case. As always, I am starting with a kind of summary of the existing material, the stories as they are, before I then go on to what I'm going to create. I'm drawing on basically hundreds of episodes of Team Rocket stuff, a lot of which is meaningless and kind of filler, and trying to get to the root of it. So I've got a bunch of different stuff from various places. I've got some stuff that's from TV tropes. I've got some summary things directly from Indigo League, which was the original Pokemon anime, and yeah, some stuff about Jessie's backstory and things. So I am going to now go through all of this and highlight anything that I consider to be an important plot point. So something that I'm going to need to remember or know going forward, or stuff that I want to take with me, so stuff that I like or think that I could use in an interesting way. So let's get started. So there are a couple of challenges when it comes to putting together a really good, awesome, tragic plot embryo for Team Rocket. The main one being that as I was like kind of gathering all of these notes and this kind of summary of everything that I want to draw upon, I basically realised, and this might sound like a very obvious realisation, but I'm sure for a lot of you guys as well, Pokemon is a very nostalgic franchise, I guess, world, story, set of characters and stuff. So seeing it, like kind of digging into it from this point of view instead of just like watching things and switching them off because they're really badly and lazily written, is kind of interesting. And what I realised as I was going through this stuff, trying to get a handle on like what really is Ash's arc, because that is, if he is the protagonist, then the antagonist needs to fit, they need to fit together, they need to be, they need to mirror each other in some way. So I need to kind of know the gist of Ash's arc to know what Team Rocket's should be. And as I was trying to get down to what Ash's arc was, there's so much stuff, there's so much Pokemon media now that there's been a million different versions of this story, and the series, I guess, that I'm going to be mainly drawing on, Indigo League, the original anime, is obviously an episodic TV show. It's not a movie, so while it does have an overarching arc to some extent, a lot of it is like really episodic adventures. What I realised was that actually, when you get down to it, this is a sport story. This is like the closest thing that I can think of, I guess, in terms of Ash's arc, is actually like something like the Karate Kid. It is, his story is about wanting to be the very best. I wanna be the very best. The best Pokemon trainer, and his story is about, you know, getting to the Indigo League and he wants to win it. So what he wants is like accolades. He wants to win a sports tournament. It just happens to be that the sport is making Pokemon fight each other. And that is kind of actually separate from Team Rocket and the other kinds of conflicts that come up now and again in Pokemon, where things become about saving the world or saving the Pokemon. There's these other things, but really at the core of it, it is a story about a boy who wants to be the very best. He just wants to be good at being a Pokemon trainer, and he wants the glory and the accolades of that. He wants to win a tournament. That is his motive goal. And so when you think about that, actually it seems, and there's so many antagonists over the course of Pokemon as a franchise, but when you think about it that way, it kind of makes sense actually for his rival, Gary, to be the main antagonist. If you're thinking about it in terms of like the Karate Kid, you know, it is the competing dojo and the assholes from there that are the main antagonist. And so if Ash's goal is this kind of like sports story, that he wants to win the Indigo League, if that is his motive goal, then Gary, being his competitor, is actually a lot more well suited to being the antagonist for that. And it kind of explains why Team Rocket are just this thing that pop up now and again to kind of get in the way of things, and nothing ever really changes after that. They don't really have all that much to do with Ash's main goal. It's just kind of a bit of a tacked on piece of conflict. If I am going to be keeping this about Team Rocket instead of switching to doing an antagonist plot embryo for Gary or another Pokemon trainer rival, then I have a decision to make. I need to decide if I'm going to change Ash's motive goal and make the core of his story not really about winning the Indigo League, about something else, or if I am going to change Team Rocket significantly to make them fit better as an antagonist for that. Let's actually just map that out on some paper, show you guys what I mean. This is a kind of basic breakdown of the conflicts and motives that are going on in Pokemon generally. So we've got Ash on here, and then we've got the various antagonists here. So look how silly my handwriting looks when I'm writing this big so that you can see it. We've got Ash wanting to win the Indigo League or be the very best. And then the antagonist to that desire, to that motive goal, is Gary, because he also wants that. He also wants to win the Indigo League, but only one person can win. So their desires are mutually exclusive. They can't both get what they want, and that's what makes them antagonists. Oh. And then we've got Ash wanting to keep Pikachu safe, and then Team Rocket wanting to steal Pikachu. But notice that this only comes from Team Rocket. Like, if Team Rocket weren't trying to steal Pikachu, it wouldn't, like, I mean, obviously Ash can generally want to keep Pikachu safe, but wanting to keep Pikachu safe from Team Rocket can only exist as a motive goal for him if Team Rocket exists. Whereas this one, Ash can want to win the Indigo League no matter who else, no matter who's on this side. It's a goal that kind of comes from within rather than without. This one he's active, and this one he's kind of passive. Like, he's trying to achieve something versus trying to stop something from happening. And then lastly, we've got Team Rocket's kind of larger goal is wanting to use Pikachu and other Pokemon to take over the world, of which there have been various versions. And then Ash wanting to just stop that from happening, so stopping them from taking over the world. Why they're taking over the world, who knows? Maybe that's something that does come up or is hinted at in the show or in some version of this franchise, but there was no way that I could watch everything before I did this, so forgive me if I'm ignorant on that point. And again, this one is passive because it's wanting to stop the antagonist from doing something instead of wanting to create something or achieve something actively. But notice that if Team Rocket's ultimate goal is, if stealing Pikachu is like a kind of sub-objective for them, or it's like a means to the end of taking over the world, that doesn't actually conflict with what seems to be Ash's main goal. Because they can take over the world and Ash can still win the Indigo League. And so they don't work, that is not an antagonistic relationship, those two things, because those realities can both exist at the same time. They can both actually get what they want at the same time. In theory, if Pikachu is captured, I think Ash's chances of winning the Indigo League obviously are very diminished. These aren't physically impossible to happen at the same time, and that's what makes it not a very strong antagonistic relationship for their motive goals to have. So I think what I'm going to do is do Brainstorm in this kind of format still with the two motive goals, with Ash and Jessie on behalf of Team Rocket, and see if I can come up with ideas of what I would like their motive goals to be and how they're going to conflict. So I just want to stop briefly to clarify that obviously I'm brainstorming the motive goal here, which is plot point 2. This is the need or anticipate point for a tragic plot embryo. I am not at the moment really thinking about plot point 1, so the stakes, the backstory, the reason that they want this. I'm just thinking about what could their goal be, and then I will be looking at, okay, well, what could be some good reasons for them to want that and for us to care about that goal. So it was actually really easy for me to come up with so many different things. Well, it doesn't look like a long list, but there's lots of good starts, I guess, to things that Jessie wants, motive goals that she could have, just based on drawing from the source material. So we've got things like wanting to please her boss, Giovanni, wanting to capture Pikachu, wanting to be a star, wanting to be a Pokemon nurse, want to take over the world, and wanting to be rich. But if you'll notice, all of these latter things, so like everything that is kind of, it's meant to like round out her character, I suppose. So like wanting to be a star, wanting to be rich, wanting to be a Pokemon nurse. The only flip side to that for Ash to have is wanting to stop her from doing that. And it doesn't really make any sense for why he would want that. Like, why the fuck should he care if she becomes a star, or if she becomes a nurse, or if she becomes rich? That doesn't stop him from doing anything that he wants, or that we could conceive of him wanting. Like, wanting to be rich and having her come from poverty could be a good thing to put in the stakes to explain why, you know, another reason why she wants, say, if she does want to win the Indigo League or something, that could be a good part of her backstory to incorporate, to give it some extra oomph. But it's not a good goal for her in general, because it doesn't fucking relate to what Ash's story is going to be about at all. So the main thing that I am getting from this, and that I think is the most interesting, is the idea of literally just giving Ash his like sports anime goal of wanting to win the Indigo League as his main objective, as his main motive goal, and then changing Jessie to fit that. And so if we wanted to have her want to win the Indigo League and being in competition with him, it's almost, I guess, like we're going to combine her character with Gary. And she can still work for Team Rocket. She can still have other agendas and stuff, or like, you know, more complex reasons for wanting to win the league. But I think that is what actually makes the most sense. I think if we changed Ash's goal from wanting to win the Indigo League, you know, his largest motive goal over the whole arc of the story, I think if we change that, we are on a deep level changing the entire story. We're changing what the story is about. I think I'm happy to keep this. I just think that we need, if we're going to have Jessie in the context of Team Rocket be the main antagonist for Ash over this story, then her goal needs to be to win the Indigo League as well, because that is what gives them the best conflict with each other. So the most natural direction to go in from here, I think, having decided on that, is to ask why. Why exactly would Jessie or Team Rocket want to win the Indigo League specifically? So let's brainstorm that. Learning this method of brainstorming that I use now was the difference between floundering in the past and now knowing that every story issue that I come up against is solvable. It was an absolute game changer for me. So if you're interested, you can check out my process of how I go about brainstorming in the video linked below. And I think this question, honestly, really digs into the heart of why so much of Pokemon stories and media feel like they don't matter, really. They feel really lightweight and flimsy, and it's really hard to connect with them on an emotional level. On watching the I Choose You movie, which is basically just a rehash for kids today of Indigo League, the main thing I noticed was that like all of and it's not an unemotional story or franchise, you know, like they play on emotion a lot, but all of the emotion comes from the Pokemon being cute and people crying, and it doesn't really come from the characters being well written or establishing stakes. They're really bad at establishing stakes and stuff. So people have all these different things that they want, but we don't really care because we don't know why they want them. And this is true of Ash as well, you know, there's been some attempts, I guess, at giving him a backstory which explains why he's so desperate to become the best Pokemon trainer. And I don't think I even got to that point in Pokemon X and Y, the series. But that's what makes it feel like, why should I care that you want to be a Pokemon trainer? You haven't given me a reason to. So this question is kind of dealing with the heart of the matter. I'm going to stop to Google because this is like already just going immediately into like what are Team Rocket's goals and why on the big picture. And obviously they want to take over the world using Pokemon, but I don't know why. I've never come across that, or I don't remember. So I'm going to have a quick Google and see if there's anything online about why they want to take over the world. Okay, it's pretty difficult to find anything concrete on that. It seems, although I did find a reference which was kind of interesting, that Team Rocket were originally based on the Yakuza, or the Japanese mafia, kind of combined with Italian mafia. So they're a crime syndicate, and their goals are generally, I guess, control, money, power, and I guess that you could then add or assume the same kinds of motives that mafia peeps have for their own stuff. Yeah, that's right, Rachel. Just Google, why do mafias exist? Okay, I could very easily get sucked into a complete rabbit hole here about how and why mafia organizations exist. I think the disconnect is that the world of Pokemon is so shiny and sweet and sugary. Almost everyone else apart from Team Rocket is like a nice person, and it's very wholesome. So the kinds of systems and I guess like structural injustices and stuff that seem to create mafiastic organizations don't seem to exist in the Pokemon world, and so it feels like they're a bit out of place. But maybe I'm digging too far into this. I feel like I almost need to explain why Team Rocket exists, that's all. You know what, I don't have to come up with like how Team Rocket was formed to still have this help my understanding of Jessie and her relationship to it. If I am thinking about it more like a mafia organization, it makes Jessie's motivations easier because these systems obviously rely so much on pressuring the people who join to not leave, to go with the power, to do what they're told and stuff. Okay, I'm thinking about what are the consequences of winning the Indigo League? Like, what do you get out of it? And how could that relate to Team Rocket's goals? On looking it up, it seems like all you get is a fucking badge. So it is just kind of like for the honour of it, which does not make a great motivation for the mafia, because why would they want that? Okay, I've not worked out everything exactly, but I think I've got a good start, and so I might just move along with that. So my idea for the moment is that Team Rocket have a good reason to want access to the league. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but there's lots of different options there. It could be to win, you know, the prize money. It could be to just get access to rare or valuable or well-trained Pokemon. The one that I kind of like is the idea that if the Indigo League is kind of like the equivalent of like the Olympics, you know, it's this big prestigious event, then there's going to be lots of important high up people that are going to be attending, and Team Rocket could be wanting access to those people to kind of extend their web of influence. They could be after their money, could be after connections, they could be after information, you know, potentially blackmail material, but Anywhere where there's going to be this concentration of lots of people with a lot of power and influence, they are going to want to be in there because they want to extend their own power and influence. So that makes sense, and I think that they have established that Jessie is going to be competing in the league to establish that access for them. So Jessie is going to be competing, and that's going to open the doors for her, James and Meowth to get in there. And I think James and Meowth are probably going to be like, maybe they're allowed companions as they compete, and it's going to be her job to compete and open the doors while James and Meowth are sneaking around behind closed doors, stealing important info or money or Pokemon from the powerful and influential attendees while she does that. So I'm pretty happy with that kind of setup. Like I said, obviously I could go into more detail and more brainstorming and decision making on what it is exactly that Team Rocket is after, but if Jessie is our main antagonist, not Team Rocket, even though she's working for Team Rocket, it's not essential that I work all that out at the moment. So let's pop this into our plot embryo. And obviously, Team Rocket's goal of just getting access to the league does not conflict with Ash's goal of winning it. So their Team Rocket, you know, as a whole, like Giovanni's goal when he assigns her this task, does not have to conflict with Ash's. It's just a way to get Jessie into that situation, and then we can establish that Jessie has her own reasons for wanting to win the league, and that will put her in direct conflict with Ash, which is fine. Which I like actually. But you can already see how this starts to imply a tragic plot embryo. If Jessie's goal is to win the league, and her job that she's been assigned by this powerful and dangerous crime organisation is just to compete enough to give them access, but not, you know, generate too much of a spotlight on her, then you can see that, you know, things are going to start to go badly if she attempts to achieve her goal. If she attempts to win when she's not meant to, you can see that Team Rocket obviously is going to come down on her for that. So it already has these kind of storm clouds of like, this doesn't seem like it's going to end well. So knowing this, let me just quickly see if this will allow me to fill in any other parts, because I think it will. I think the first thing is that it makes it so that the Indigo League, like literally the competition, is the unfamiliar situation that they are going to be getting into, that both her and Ash are going to be diving into here. So let's just pop that in. That's definitely not how you spell league, honey. I'm not sure what the status quo, that the familiar situation is going to be for her, but as a kind of placeholder, let's put small time assignments from Team Rocket. So that creates this dichotomy between, you know, she's only done small things for Team Rocket so far, and now she's got this big assignment that's very important, and it's kind of her chance to prove herself. So that means this would be entering the league, and whatever that entails. And it also means that the end of the story means if she wants to win the league, then she's going to lose it. Like, we know that this is a tragic story. She's not going to get what she wants. We don't have any more specifics about it at this point, but we know that she's not going to win, because the whole point is for Ash to win. She's the antagonist. This is a tragic plot. Okay, so we've got Jessie has been assigned to complete in the Indigo League to give Team Rocket access to the rich and powerful people organising and attending it, and she makes it her personal mission to win. Plot point 3, she enters the league, she enters this unfamiliar situation. At plot point 4, she's going to be competing in the heats and struggling to stay in the competition. 5, don't know what that's going to be yet, because we've not started to look at her internal quadrants yet. And then we're going to have her fighting Ash and losing in the end. That's going to be her end. Given that we've got these two blank, and that's largely because this is totally blank, let's start to think about, I guess, the internal quadrants. Oh, one quick point about this, I guess. I think I do really like the idea of basically combining Jessie's character with the role that Gary plays. So having her as both an agent of Team Rocket, but also a rival trainer to Ash. I think I would like to have her be a bit younger maybe than she is in the show. She doesn't need to be as young as Ash, she can still be older than him, but I like the idea of her maybe growing up in the same town or something. You know, them having this relationship from the get-go. Maybe even James could be older than her, maybe they're even family, you know, if we want to go with this like mafia, crime syndicate kind of idea, and making Team Rocket a bit more like an actual mafia, then they could be family. Jessie could be, you know, a kid of the family, of the Team Rocket family, familia, who's kind of just getting started and kind of getting embroiled in it all, and James is kind of meant to be taking care of her, kind of like keeping an eye on her, supervising her, and he's been at it for a bit longer. So let's just put palette down. Now the juicy stuff, let's talk about theme. So the internal quadrants and Jessie's change of heart. At the moment, we don't actually know what the theme of her story is at all, or at least I don't even know that I've got any ideas yet. And again, that's going to depend on Ash's, because she is meant to be the cautionary tale almost to Ash's story of like having his change of heart and that helping him move forward and succeed. Okay, I've just had a thought though. Is she going to lose the league here? Because the tradition is that Ash never wins the leagues. It's been a long time. I don't know if I've ever seen the end of a Pokemon series, actually, if I'm being honest. But in my research, I came across basically the idea that Ash never actually wins. He comes close, and it seems like he learns a lesson about, you know, the journey is more important than the destination, and it's still important to try even though you don't win and stuff like that. So if his arc is going to be about wanting to win the Indigo League more than anything, and then realising that the journey is just as important as the destination, and that it was still valuable to do even though he doesn't win or something like that, then he's not going to win. I don't know, maybe Jessie does win, but it's just that it's her downfall because that's not what Team Rocket wanted her to do, and they like take her out or something. I don't know. Yeah, like maybe she wins here, she gets what she wished for. But then Team Rocket destroy her. I don't know what that would mean in the context of a kid's show. You can't die, right? That's too dark for Pokemon. I mean, they could both lose, I guess, but then that kind of dilutes their relationship as antagonistic to each other, because we do kind of want it to be like, oh, we all know that one of these two are going to win, because if someone else, so say this Richie kid from the Indigo League series, who's like kind of like Ash, if he ends up winning, then it's probably him that should have been Ash's antagonist instead. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. I think it depends, like, this is a tragic plot embryo, so she cannot get what she originally wanted. Depending on how I want this to turn out, like whether I want her to win or lose in the end, or whether I want her to succeed on Team Rocket's behalf, whether or not that's what she wants, I can change her goal to kind of match that, to make sure that she's not getting what she wants. But at the moment, it's still kind of unclear. So yeah, I think I'll press on and try and work on these internal quadrants and the theme, and then maybe see if that starts to affect how these 2 points are going to shake out. Let's do it! So, given that I don't really know where to start on this, I'm going to start by generating what I think the topic of the theme might be. Like, what subject, what sphere of life is this theme going to deal with, the way I did in my Brave video. Okay, I think what I'm actually going to do is try and figure out what Ash's change of heart should be. I don't think it really matters what his before belief is, but His after belief should kind of be similar or even the same as Jesse's, except that, of course, she has her false or limiting belief here, and then kind of has this glimmer of realizing the truth, but it's not enough to avert her tragic trajectory. So this glimmer should probably be quite similar to Ash's full change of heart. So I think I'm going to start with that and then maybe work backwards. Oh, and just quickly, so the topics, the ideas that I came up for the theme topic were competition, being the very best, glory, accolades, winning, power, respect for Pokemon / other beings, the cost of recognition, getting the recognition that you deserve, fame, the desire for fame, passion for your sport or craft, friendship and partnership. I suppose what makes this complicated is that in the meta-narrative, the antagonist loses and the protagonist should win, as in they get a happy ending versus a sad ending, which means, I guess, that the situation at the end is altogether better for them than it was in the beginning. And vice versa for the antagonist, so for Jessie. And so the decision that I really need to make, I guess, is that if both Jessie and Ash want to win the Indigo League, then I need to decide what is the win state and what is the lose state for each of them. Is the better situation for them at the end winning or losing the Indigo League? Okay, I think I've been kind of like rephrasing the same idea over and over again to try and kind of hit the nail on the head, and I think I've come to an idea that I am very interested in, although I'm not sure how it translates exactly to their respective quadrants. But basically I seem to just be going over the idea of like winning and losing and competition and what's important about winning versus losing. So I went through, winning isn't everything, or competition is about improving. Making friends is more important than winning. Sometimes the cost of winning is too high. The journey is more important than the destination. Competition is valuable even when we don't win. Then I was kind of exploring the idea of like what it means to win meaningfully. Like what gives a win meaning. So yeah, I kind of rephrased that a bunch, and the final one that I've kind of come to is an easy win is empty and a hard-fought loss is a treasure. This would fit with the idea of Jessie winning, but in a way that, like, so she gets what she wanted, but it kind of turns to ash in her mouth. It feels empty because she didn't do it the way that she set out to do it, or in a way that feels satisfying. And then it would fit with Ash losing, but feeling like he has had a really valuable experience by still entering the league and stuff. You know, he's learned things, he's made friends, and so the loss is still really precious to him. So that's where I'm at. I will come back to this after lunch and start to see how this is going to fit into our quadrants for Jessie and Ash. It might take some more shifting about and rephrasing, but yeah, cool. So I'm going to pause for lunch now. These work for sure, but using this as Jessie's theme and internal quadrants necessitates that she wins the league. at the end, and I'm not sure if that's going to work with the rest of the plot embryo, so I'm going to pencil it in. And we shall try moving forward from there, but if I have to change it, then I will. Yeah, I'm actually watching the last couple of episodes of Indigo League on my laptop, just off screen, with my earphones. I'm just trying to catch basically like the summary that I found doesn't go into a lot of detail about the ending, and I'm trying to catch like the final, like after Ash loses, like what he takes away from it, to catch if there's any like kind of applicable theme. I don't expect it to be very complex or meaningful, but I just want to get like what was the point that they were trying to make, I guess, at the end. In fact, now might be a very good time for some cake. What lost? Fuck. What does it mean to be a good Pokemon trainer? Just tell me. God damn it, Pikachu. We can learn a lot from losing. Is that it? Oh my god. He just says we can learn a lot from losing. God, this Richie kid really loves making promises. When does this thing end? Oh my god. Okay, that's enough of that. Okay, so the next thing to brainstorm will be probably these 2 points. I'm going to start with backstory. So we want to establish both why this goal is important to Jessie, so why she wants to win the Indigo League, and why she feels like winning is all that matters, like why she believes that. I felt a little bit stuck here, but I think I'm coming towards something now. I had to rephrase the question a couple of times, and I actually ended up rephrasing it to what led Jessie to believe that cheating to win is always better than losing, because it's kind of another way of saying the same thing, but I changed it in here to winning is all that matters and cheating is better than losing, just to kind of round it out and give me more options in terms of answering it. So, I'm kind of like running with this idea of Jessie, of Team Rocket, if it is like a mafia, being like it's kind of family business, and so she is born into Team Rocket essentially. I think that Jessie's mother is going to be Giovanni's sister, or possibly his niece, so that would make Giovanni either her uncle or her great uncle. The idea that I came to eventually is that, I mean, it's quite simple, I guess, when you think about it, is that, so basically she as a kid was battling another kid, and that her family had kind of picked up on, you know, that she seemed quite talented as a Pokemon trainer, and they were really pushing her to work on that. So they saw her talent and they wanted to, or they want to, mold her into someone who can be a strong Team Rocket agent. So like, you know, a powerful trainer could end up being like really useful muscle for Team Rocket. And that's what they want to kind of mold her into. And so say you have her in a battle when she's young, battling another kid, and she loses and is punished for it by them, because they are, you know, of the opinion that like you should never lose, like you have everything you need to win, and if that means cheating, then that's what you do, because that's what we do. So we're talking about some, some basic child abuse, but that's why this is a tragic story. So yeah, it pulls a bit at the heartstrings, but it's kind of meant to. This would be the tragic backstory section of the story. I actually had the thought that maybe it's not even her that they punish, like she loses and they actually punish her Pokemon instead of her, and that adds that extra emotional punch of like, oh, animal abuse as well as child abuse. So yeah, I think I'm gonna run with that. In fact, let's just stick that in here as is and see how we get to that. God, I mean, in theory, it could even be Ash, like, that she is battling as a kid and loses to and is punished for. Oh, something else kind of interesting that I think I would like to keep as well is, why would she see winning the league as like the most important thing, that all that matters? And I thought, what if she is literally not good at anything else? Like she feels like a failure basically in everything else that she's tried to do. And that kind of makes sense in terms of Jessie's character in canon, because she's done like all sorts of crazy shit. She lists them at some point. She tried to be a Pokemon nurse, she's tried to be an actress, she tried to be a star, compete in Pokemon contests and all this different stuff, and she never succeeds. So what if that's part of her character, that she feels like she is useless apart from the fact that she is good at being a Pokemon trainer. She's good at fighting with Pokemon. So if she feels like a failure in every aspect of her life, then becoming a star Pokemon trainer becomes kind of her whole personality, and she feels like if she doesn't succeed at this, then she'll never succeed at anything. Like she's just useless. So that's an extra emotional layer that we can add to that, and that could again be reinforced by this toxic kind of family dynamic that we have going on. Let's just say that the Pokemon, I guess, because it's iconic, is Ekans, and they can have a relationship there. So what I've just summarised this here. It says, from childhood, Jessie's mafia family encouraged the idea that the only thing she's good at is Pokemon battles. As a kid, she loses a match with another kid, and her mother cruelly punishes her Ekans, telling her that there is no excuse for her to ever lose. And as you can see, or as you can imagine, this creates a really strong foundation for, a pretty formidable enemy for Ash. If this is like drilled into her so awfully, really, as a kid, that there's no excuse for her to ever lose, she is going to do absolutely everything she can to never lose. And she already has this talent. So since that moment with her mother, I think she has worked so hard, and she already has this natural talent that she's won every other match that she has participated in. Basically, her arriving at the league as basically undefeated obviously sets that up for her to be a really powerful antagonist for Ash. Now, the next thing that I want to address is this backstory, and this ending and theme doesn't really fit with what I had in terms of her motive goal and stuff anymore, because I was going to have it that Team Rocket just wants access to the league. They don't want to win because they don't want the attention. But then it seems like if she's going to win, but it's an empty kind of win because they're going to cheat or arrange it or rig it or somehow, then it seems like Team Rocket need to want her to win as well. And that doesn't really fit with this quite yet. So again, I just kind of need to come back to the idea of like, what could a winner's prize be, or like a benefit of being the winner that would be attractive to Team Rocket. Okay, I could actually brainstorm this in depth right now, but I've actually just had an idea off the top of my head, so I'm going to run with that and not be too precious about it. So the idea is just that So yeah, so the original idea was that they want access to the rich and powerful people who are going to be attending the league or organising it, you know, who are involved and present. What if we just make it that the access that they want, that Team Rocket wants to get to these people is only possible through like the winner's party, the celebration or something. Say, once the league is over, there's a big after party and it's just all the rich fancy people and the winner, and that's it. And they want access to that party because they've got their own agenda there. And again, we can sub in, do they want money? Do they want the ability to blackmail people? Do they want to be able to steal people's information or hold them ransom, or, you know, any of these things, any generic crime reason for people to want access to the rich and powerful will apply here. Okay, I think we are fairly close to being able to wrap this up. Okay, yeah, let's write this up. So before I get into running through what we came up with today, I want to just kind of highlight something about this. So this plot embryo is complete in that it's got all the elements it needs, they all fit together, it's a complete story, but there are parts where I haven't really gone into detail and I haven't worked out the details yet. So that would be something that would happen in like the next stage if I was going to go on to outlining this or whatever, and those are things that I would have to brainstorm if I was to write this story, but they don't need to be nailed down for this plot embryo to work, so I've just left them as is. The main thing with that, I guess the main example of that is that Team Rocket sets up a way for Jessie to cheat during the tournament, but I haven't specified what exactly that is, how they're going to cheat, how they're going to rig it, because that's going to be important obviously for going forward and writing the story down the line, but it's not actually important here, as long like the fact that there is a way for them to cheat is what matters in this like bird's eye view of the plot embryo. The specifics aren't quite necessary at this point, although you could go into detail, you could brainstorm that kind of thing while you're doing this if you do want to do a really detailed plot embryo. Something else that I would like to bring your attention to is that this plot embryo works in terms of a tragic plot embryo, but that it's really left open-ended as to how sympathetic a character we would want to make Jessie in this finished story. So tragic plot embryos range from characters who have tragedies where you really feel for them, you really care about them, and it's really sad and upsetting when they get their tragic ending. It ranges from that all the way to like villains who you are really happy to see get what they've had coming, or to get their tragic ending, where you're like, yes, you're like rooting for the universe to give them that big kick at the end and for them to not get what they want. And there is of course a spectrum in between there as to how sympathetic that character is going to be. I've kept this very neutral in terms of that, to be honest. I do feel some sympathy for Jessie, just based on like this arc, but you could definitely make her more sympathetic by kind of pumping up the backstory stuff and having her behavior as a character, you know, in details, in scenes and stuff, be a lot more likable or relatable throughout the rest of it, and she can still end up here. Or you could go the other way and make her much more of a villain and make her much more unsympathetic. You know, you'd find things for her to do here which you just make the viewer or the reader hate her and really root for her to lose. But yeah, that's something that is a kind of a sliding scale that you can almost determine with the details. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of point that out, in that the plot embryo that I've come up with is pretty flexible on that standpoint, and there is this opportunity to think about how sympathetic do we want this antagonist to be. Yeah, okay. With that in mind, let's get into the finished plot embryo. From childhood, Jessie's mafia family encouraged the idea that the only thing she's good at is Pokemon battles. She feels useless at everything else, so she makes that her life. When she loses a friendly battle to another kid, her mother cruelly punishes her Ekans, insisting that there's no reason for Jessie to ever lose a battle. If she has to cheat, well, that's just another skill that can give her an edge. Nothing is more important than winning. Jessie is a teenager, and when Team Rocket hatches a scheme to further their influence and wealth using the Indigo League, she begs to be able to compete. She desperately wants to win, both to prove herself as a trainer and feel like she's worth something in the family, but also to grant Team Rocket access to the prestigious after party. Jessie enters the league, undefeated, having never lost a match since that one as a kid. She identifies another kid, Ash, as her main rival. Team Rocket sets up to rig the tournament to ensure Jessie will win, and they'll get access to the after party. Jessie insists she won't need it, and winning the traditional way is less likely to expose them. She battles through the heats and gets to the final. Ash suspects that she's working for Team Rocket, but can't prove it. In her final battle with Ash, she realises there is a chance that she could lose, and she uses the cheat that Team Rocket set up. She wins and gets her trophy, but doesn't feel happy or proud. She realises by cheating, she has made her dream feel totally empty. Ash and his friends expose her for cheating, and everyone turns on her. Team Rocket let her take the fall and disown her from the family to protect themselves. She is banned from ever competing as a trainer again. To her, it's losing everything she's ever cared about. So Pikachu, what do you think of my version?
Pika, 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 Pikachu!
Jesus, Pikachu, that's brutal.
Pika, Pika, Pikachu!
So, what do you think of my version? Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was, or what story you think I should fix next. I put out one of these plot with me videos among other types of videos every single month, so if you don't want to miss that, be sure to subscribe. If you don't want to miss anything ever because the YouTube algorithm, then hit the bell button down below for notifications. If you would like to see the completed plot embryo plus all of the pages of brainstorming that I did in this video, you will find the link for that as well. And lastly, if you're serious about writing and you want to use the magic of the plot embryo for yourself, get down to the description and sign up for my free course, How to Plot on One Page. It's a plot embryo course, it's 7 days, it's in video format, you're gonna love it. And you guessed it, it's also linked below. Do we think that is enough calls to action, Pikachu?
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test, to train them is my cause. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Our hearts so true, our courage will pull us through. You teach me and I'll teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon.
I waited so long for you. This used to have a noise thing where it would, like, you know, you could press a button, it would go Pika Pika, but it broke long ago, and so now you've just got a secret Pikachu pocket. What should I store in there? very high quality Pikachu. Life size. I want a Jigglypuff though. Realistic. Realistic. Jigglypuff is my true love. True to life. Because I am also small, pink, and furious. Pikachu, Pikachu does whatever. What do you want to do? And she swings from a web. No, she can't, because that's a different story. What do you want to do with your 15 minutes of fame? Whereas it was about? Look out! Here comes the Pikachu.
Pika, 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 Pikachu.